and I gained a lot of experience there. Where moving into universities to not only in Sri Lanka but going into other countries as well. And then I got the opportunity to join Brandix. I am looking at talent attraction. I'm heading the pillar of talent attraction for Brandix apparel, as well as I'm looking into recruitment as well. So we'll talk about recruitment and talent attraction. What is the difference between those two? And for me right now, it's about I have 8+ years of experience only in HR. So that's a small brief about how I got here and what I'm currently doing.
So I guess we have the best personality. There's no need any explanation. So let's move on to the discussion. So Mr. Prageeth, we see that frequent changes in the corporate world. As an example, if we take the technological development before year 2000, there was not much improvement in that technological division. But during the year 20 years of time, during from 2000 to 2020, we see a rapid change in the development of technological side. With this development, we can see a rapid change in the corporate world as well as other industries. So how do you see these changes, and what are the most recent changes in the corporate world? And what do you believe the main reasons for these kind of frequent changes in the corporate world?
Yes, for us, mainly as you spoke about 20 years back, I would say yes. We started a digital change. We started all the corporates. Not it took some time to come to Sri Lanka, but when I started my career, it was those in those countries they have already started the digital transformation, moving into digital data, storing it digitally about employees from employees data. They moved into digital, but Sri Lanka was a little bit back. But right now Sri Lanka has come up to a where we started digital transformation in Sri Lanka in 2015-16 kind of years. And then we were coming up to an era where we truly went digital. All the larger corporates up to mid corporates, they were going through that digital transformation, and then it came into 2019 December where COVID hit, and then there was a massive change in all the companies, from the smallest company that is there where 2 or 3 employees are there, where there is 100,000 employees are there. There's a huge digital transformation, or the COVID issue made the any corporate or any business move into a digital world where we had to do our day-to-day work uh, all digitally. And it was a rapid change that had to happen. It was not a choice. No one had a choice but to use that opportunity. For an example, to there were companies who did not want to even pilot a work from home policy, but they had no option but to go through it. So like that, those are the changes that recently happened and impacted the whole world, not only in Sri Lanka, but it's a global change that happened.
So as you say, the digital transformation is one of the key reasons. If I say something like this, digital transformation is about talent, not the technology. What are the thoughts on that phrase?
Digital transformation, mainly it's about talent. Yes, because when we improve where we want to, so let's say for an example, let's take an example where I started my own business, and I want to get talent from different countries. But if I stick to not going for a digital transformation and not working digitally, then I can't get that global talent into my company. Where in 2015, Sri Lanka realized, okay, Sri Lanka larger corporates realized where, okay, we have to bring that global talent into our companies and get that global exposure as well. And it will help both the company as well as the employees, because employees are only exposed to Sri Lankan talent and what they are thinking. But when you go into a global talent pool, where companies will be able to tap into the global talent, and that became a huge demand a few years back. And then that is why where uh, digital transformation happened mainly to attract that talent. So then from that talent you can develop your company. And it's not only for private organizations, it went into a government or state run organizations as well. We can see if there are few employees who are currently working, if they are not permanent employees, but as consultants in Sri Lanka, where they have come in from different countries, and they are consulting here in most state run organizations. And definitely private organizations, you have your CEOs to consultants to expatriates who come and contribute, and then they go back to their country. So without digital transformation, that will not happen. And also where companies saved a lot of money from going into digital transformation, where, okay, if you want some talent or some consultation of someone, you have to bring them down to Sri Lanka and you have to provide them the accommodation to whatnot. That's an expense for the company. But when if you go through the digital transformation where you expand your business digitally, you can connect all those talent from different countries through a digital method, whatever it is. So the mainly the talent need of an organization made the digital transformation drive.
So I think the topic that we are discussing today is one of the best and most relevant topic for today's, because of this pandemic situation. So we see that because of this COVID-19 pandemic, businesses and the economies of the countries have been largely affected. So work from home concept has become one of the famous and one of the most successful alternative for some kind of some industries. But if you take the aviation industries like aviation industry, they have cut off their revenue from nine. I believe I saw in an article, they have cut off their revenue for 95% before the COVID-19 pandemic can in the present. So the alternative, working from home, has become one of the most successful alternative for one industry, while it has become not successful for other industries like aviation. So with the current prevailing situation, what are the opportunities that undergraduates have been uh, awarded? Like, I mean, is there any more opportunities or less opportunities to the graduates with this current situation, comparing with these two scenarios?
Right. So I would answer in this way. So when COVID-19 pandemic hit Sri Lanka and the whole world, it divided or the into three different areas: the corporates, or the for an example, let's say the travel industry went down, the aviation, as you said, went down, but communication to uh, different, where you can connect with others, different methods, those revenue, they gain revenue a lot. And then there are companies that didn't change their income, or they didn't have to cut down anything. So where undergraduates, there are still opportunities, because we look at undergraduates as fresh eyes. We recruit undergraduates or we recruit interns mainly from undergraduates, so they can give the it's again a both ways. We the undergraduates can gain an opportunity to see what the corporate world is before they start their career from an internship, and then for a company it's some fresh eyes. So we put them into a project and say that, okay, this is the problem that we have, what do you think about it? So that's how we look at talent. And then from that, undergraduates, this is the time for you to go and get those opportunities. Still there are opportunities. For an example, let's say, yes, so aviation, uh, in tourism industry, yes, the number of job offers to opportunities that you have has gone down. But in communication and retail, they are currently booming. And even logistics, those areas are booming because uh, aviation goes under logistics. In aviation, yes, so for an example, because you took the aviation example, in aviation what we see is where, okay, someone gets into a aeroplane, and then someone there's air hostess to pilots to ground staff to, yes, so in that the ground staff is still working because there are aeroplanes who is flown to bring down different let's say for us as a apparel organization, we air freight uh, clothes, and we air freight the PPEs, the masks. So those are very, we can't stock them and keep them because it is a very need right now. So those have to be air freight. So for that, you need the ground staff. You need the pilot. Yes, the air hostess uh, or the hostess in an airplane, yes, is not needed when it comes to air freight. Yes, there are few job cuts and there are reductions. Yes, definitely there was an effect. So because of that, but still there are opportunities. You don't look at from the top, saying that, okay, this industry is not working. But even in travel industry right now, inbound travel, like Sri Lankan people are currently moving around, which is not good, but that is happening. So, and then when it comes to logistics, there are right now most of the larger supermarkets are doing delivery. So they had to expand their logistics. Where I have few friends in different logistics companies who's attached to bigger corporates who do these larger supermarkets, where they had to look for larger fleets, larger, they did recruitments of executive and above recruitments to support that area. So yes, there will be few doses are closing, but definitely there will be other doors opening and more doors opening in the future when it comes to right now, because COVID-19 will go away in a while, and then there will be businesses who are on top and who wants to expand more. So there will be opportunities, just you'll have to look exactly, okay, what do I want to do, and then if you know that, definitely there will be opportunities for you.
So while one sector going down, another sector will be go up. Exactly.
Definitely.
So before going on to the next question, I would like to address the participants. You can post any kind of question that should be asked from Mr. Prageeth in the chat box, and we will be asking those questions in the Q&A session. So you can start asking questions in the chat box. Okay, uh, let's move on to the next one. So I have seen in some discussions, and the most of the discussions from the recruiters. So one thing they are always telling telling for us is only having a first class degree, or only having a class degree is not a valid requirement for an undergraduate or graduate to survive in the industry. So these students or the undergraduates or graduates, employees should have additional talents and skills that to survive with the academic requirement. So how do you think the people in the universities, the undergraduates, can develop their talents, and what is your scope on importance of talent development in the undergraduate studies to catch these opportunities?
Right. So yes, exactly where we look at when you have a first class degree or second class upper. Yes, that is an we look it as an entry qualification. You have to have a degree as an entry qualification into an executive job. But yes, you go for state-run university. For like top of my head, there's Columbia University, Calania, Peradeniya, Jaffna, Wayamba, Ruhuna. There's so many. For an example, Japura, there are 6,000 university undergraduates going out from all the faculties in a year, and it is expanding in all the universities with the number of students that are coming into the intake is larger, then the output will be larger. So all that undergraduates are coming out. 99% of the undergraduates, I would say 99.9% of the undergraduates are looking for job opportunities. So your graduate degree is an entry qualification going into a executive opportunity. But definitely we look at different areas. For an example, we start at the interview, but we ask you questions saying that, okay, you have a degree. What else did you do in the university? Because all your universities give extracurricular activities. When I say extracurricular activities, most of things like, okay, it should be a sport. No, extracurricular activities is where you do whatever you do. It can be a club, can be a society, can be a sport. Yes, other than your curriculum. Whatever you do, because that gives us it. We analyze your CV when we once you we because your CV will be your first communication method with an organization, because you don't go with your CV. First you send your CV, and from your CV we analyze who you are. So when you take a CV, okay, you have a first class degree, you are batch top. Okay, so what are the rest? So from you being in another society or a club or doing another sport shows us that you are able to get a first class degree, being batch top, and were able to manage a sport or manage a club or manage to be the president, vice president, or a committee member, and do these areas, look into these areas. So that shows us that you are a person who can multitask. And that is what an organization needs. Because when you join an organization, you will see that there won't be one job role that you have to perform. There will be multiple job roles. For an example, right now, I have to look into, even though I'm looking into talent attraction, I have to do talent development as well right now with the current situation. So I look at two pillars. So it is not in my JD, but I have to perform that. It is an experience for me as well to look into a different area. So then I won't be. I'll be a specialist as well as a generalist. So that will that will have a opportunity for me to go up in the career ladder. So like that, when you say, what you have to do is where you have to look, okay, I have my degree, I have some free time with me. Why don't I do online? These days, there are a lot of online courses that you can attend. If there are free courses, you don't have to spend. There are free courses offered by Harvard, uh, Oxford. There are a lot of opportunities where you can join, and it doesn't take much time. You can do a communication skills, project management. Those are small certificate skills, and when we see that in your CV, that will show us, okay, this person has a broader knowledge into different areas. So that means that once we recruit this person, we can build a role around this person. Because when we recruit someone, you have to make sure that you are your role is not replaceable. Because everyone, if you go and do your job and that is it that you do, so that means you are replaceable for an organization. If you are replaceable, that means that if they put another if they put you out, that means you can be replaced by another person from the next day onwards. You have to make sure that you show the value of yourself when you join the organization. To do that, what you have to do is you have to make sure that you broaden your knowledge, and that improves, that shows us as employers that you are a talented person and you are you are a person who can multitask. So it's that's how you have to make sure that you broaden your knowledge, not only from your educational skills but doing other extracurricular activities as well.
So I believe that all the participants have understood the value of education plus the extracurricular activities. And as you said, Mr. Prageeth, you are doing talent development inside the organization as well. So, what type of talent development practices that the organizations undertake to develop the talents of the employees and other from the other side, how this kind of talent development is done during this pandemic situation? Because usually we can't have physically, sometimes the people cannot be gathered physically, even though the companies have to develop their talents to improve their income and improve the company. So what type of measurements that they have taken inside the organizations to develop the talents of the employees?
Right. So yes, definitely, because to keep the top talent in the organization and make sure that all the employees are developed while they offer their knowledge and their skills to the organization, we should give them something back other than their monthly salary for their work that they do. As an organization, as it not only Brandix but different other all the organizations try to give some kind of development. It can be personal development as well as your career wise. So what most of the organizations right now, what they do is they have moved on to an online development programs. For example, let's say that you are being identified as a person who can next in line to be a CEO, next in line to be a senior level manager. What they do is they attach you to a mentor, they attach you to a coach where they identify. First, what we do is we identify as organization, as talent development pillars. We identify, okay, these are the top talent of the organization. What should we do to develop their career? What should we do to develop their personal life? It we not only look at their career wise, which will in return help the organization, but we look at where, okay, if we give this person a development for their career, we will have to give them their personal life as well. So we have moved on to an online development programs where we give, because right now, earlier, for an example, there were a lot of training programs that were offered physically, classroom based. but those classroom based trainings mainly were given to you. It's the same thing. It's you get the same thing, but you can get that training to your comfort of your own home. You don't have to physically go, which I think as a person personally, I think which is a good thing, where you don't have to go and sit down for 8 hours a day to in a classroom, where you can definitely get the same knowledge while you are engaged in with your family, engaged with your normal day-to-day career, day-to-day work activities, but you get that knowledge as well. So what we have as organizations, what we have moved on to develop our talent is we have moved into an online system where we offer them the same experience. It might be not physically a presence experience, but the knowledge that we give will be the same, and they are recorded sessions, so they can uh, study them, because in a physical classroom you to listen, and even if you're sick, if you are not in the mood to learn, you'll have to go. But in these type of sessions, there's no strict timeline, but definitely those development areas will be assessed with different, let's say for an example, different MCQ questions to evaluating your improvements after those trainings. Yes, those are still done, but development has not gone down. And then what we have done on top of it is we have improved on employee engagement, because those days when it was your regular day at work, yes, the engagement was very regular. You talk to the next who's next in your next cubicle, and you meet people, different people in your tea time or at lunch areas. And while you were going home and coming back, you meet them, but that engagement has cut down because of the current situation. And it's not only that, where you can't even get a team together for 1 or 2 day workshop. So because of that, we companies as a company, for personal development, we encourage all the employees, senior level leaders, to bring their teams at least once a week, twice a week, into a call, a Zoom call or a MS Team call, Microsoft Teams call, and then they discuss not about the work, but how they are doing, what they are doing, which as university students you guys can do too, where you, because right now you guys are studying from home, and then it might be that just you at home, and then you might feel alone, and you might feel that, okay, I don't know how others are doing. So get few people, get few friends of yours together once a week and just have a chat how each other are doing, or what if someone is behind of their coursework or assessment, whatever it is. Just have that, because once you get into that system, once you get into that, you won't feel alone, as well as once you get into the corporate, because you will all be already used to it. So then there won't be any disconnect between you and the corporate. So those are the things that we currently do. We have moved into a digital learning platforms, where everything offered to you, but everything digitally. That is how we develop our talent and we identify our talent.
Yeah, the last thing. Personally, I am also sometimes being worried staying at home alone. So that would be a perfect way to come out of this one. And in the start of the session, I told that we are asking a question from the participants, and we will be selecting the best first three answers. So the question for the participants: uh, the new normal has distanced us from engaging in physical activities. Considering the new normal, sorry, the new normal has distanced us from engaging in physical activities. Considering the new normal, what practices are we all are doing to achieve your dream. The new normal has distanced us from engaging in physical activities. Considering the new normal, what practices are uh, you all doing to achieve your dream? So the question will be in the chat box, and the committee will be choosing first three answers, and awards will be awarded. So let's move on to the session again. Mr. Prageeth, that I heard that the gamification is one of the top recruiting tools in recent years in order to attract a talented pool for a company. Do you think that is an effective way to recruit a talented group of people to develop a company?
Yes. So if I explain, gamification is where you are given to play a game and then you are shortlisted for an interview, which is a very odd way when you look at it from like from the top, saying that okay, I have to play a game, and if I fail, there is no right or correct wrong answer. It's that the choices that you make in that game, an artificial intelligence, an AI from the back end, they look at the answers that you give and they match your answers to the company. Because in an organization, everyone who has an undergraduate degree, who are coming out of a state university, the knowledge that you have is, we don't have an issue with that. But we what we look at is how you match that organization, how you match that team. If you don't match, because right now you can't work alone in any organization, because as I said earlier, because we have gone digital, that means we have entered into an larger worldwide organization. Even though your company might be dealing with only Sri Lanka, and the company that you're joining is might be the only establishment is in Sri Lanka. But once you go into a digital platform, you are visible to the whole world. So then it will be, your company will be definitely global. So because of that, you have to make sure that okay, so let's we are looking at how we individuals for our needs. So because of that, a gamification is a very new talent selection method, where the because right now you can answer a few questions. Tell me a little bit about yourself. What is your strengths? What is your weaknesses? Those are given. Those are the best answers that you can find. It's just one click away in Google. When you search, then there is your answers. But right from those answers, we can't see that okay, if you are the person that you proceed in an interview, yes, you have to have that interview where you have your face to face. But before you come to the interview, because of the gamification, we know what type of a personality you are, what type of a person you will be, what type of a person you will be in our organization. When I say our organization, it can be any organization in the world. So right now, gamification is one of the best tools that we use to make sure that we select the right person. And when I say okay, you don't have to, when you face a gamification uh, test, you don't have to say okay, my direction, my the selection is based on the decisions I make in this game. No. So for an organization, we need different type of people. We need leaders, as well as we can't recruit everyone lead all the employees as leaders. If we recruit everyone as leaders, it will be an issue. Everyone will try to lead everyone, so there will be no one to work. So we need team players. We need decision makers, we need innovators. So because of that, make sure that when you face a recruiting method or shortlisting method like gamification, make sure that you be true to yourself. So then it will be easy for you to go and work in that organization as well. So make sure that when you select the organization, choose the you look at the values of that organization and look at your own values and see that, okay, is this the organization that I want to go. So coming back to gamification, yes, and which is again something that we in Sri Lanka we recently, very recently started, where I see Unilever, Nestle, and few other bigger organizations that are currently using to mass shortlist candidates when it comes to internships as well as management trainees, which is a very good method. And you can, there are so many gamification trials that you can see, or can everyone can go to Google and just say practice gamification tests, just type that. There will be so many tests that you can go and first experience that and see, okay, right, this is a good thing that I can do, and just have that experience before you face the real gamification. So then you know that, okay, you have a first practice at it, see that, okay, this is what it is.
So gamification is one of the best tools, I believe. From the explanation, I understood that it's one of the best for the recruiting the people. So with the COVID-19 situation and with the matter of time, the required talent of a employee or an undergraduate or graduate has been changed throughout the time. So according to an article in Forbes, I saw that top skills that recruiters recruiters are expecting from the graduates are like critical thinking, adapting to a virtual environment, and survival skills, etc. So I saw 10 of them, and they are, these things are just 3 things from that 10 list. So in your point of view, what do you think? What kind of talents should a graduate should possess in coming 5 or 10 years?
Yes. So right now we are in a lockdown situation where, okay, for an example, I haven't gone to office in 3 months. So I haven't seen my cubicle at all for the past 3 months. So because like that, we are working from home. So for now, the requirement for us has changed. For an example, there are a few employees who have joined Brandix and different other companies where they haven't seen their work desk at all, even though they are recruited. So because of that, it is a, when you see that, okay, I'm recruited but I haven't seen the company building physically, even for an interview, because right now even the final interview is done online. So earlier what we were at is we do the first interview online and then we do physical interviews for the CEOs to the functional directors. But right now, even the last interview is done online. There is no physical presence at all. So because of that, the set 10 set that what the 3 things that you said, where adaptation is one of the biggest thing that any corporate looks at, because this is not an adaptation that we had to do within a year. Right now it's almost an year for the pandemic that we have faced, and it's right now we have to adapt in that year that we have planned for the next 5 years. We had to cram it to 1 year or 12 months and make sure that we adapt. So when we recruit, what we look at is adaptation. Is someone we recruit is being able to adapt to that quick changes that will happen. In another few years, there will be changes that is happening where, okay, there will be a separate task force where they are never being called to office. They are full-time work from home, which is an alienated area for Sri Lankan corporates. Mainly larger organizations, yes, they were looking at it, but they didn't physically do it. But that is the amount of adaptation that we went to as corporates, any corporates, where only the manufacturing happened physically, where you can't make sure that it's like you can't, if I take the same aviation example, where you can't pilot a plane from home. So there are few components that you have to do physically, but majority of the areas were dispersed and made sure that the same work or the more work had happened, but not in a physical office. So because of that, what we look at from undergraduates, the talents, what we look at from undergraduates are, yes, adaptability, but we still look at, we earlier also we were looking at communication skills. Communication skills is one of the most important skills that we look at and anywhere in the world, because you will have the best knowledge, you will have the best innovations in your head, but if you can't communicate it, then there is no use of it. If you can't explain it to a communication, it can be speaking, written, listening, and reading. But when I talk communication here, is where you have to be able to make sure that whatever that you are saying is understood by the other party. So you have to have that, develop that communication method where you have to make sure that the four components I said were reading, writing, speaking, and make sure that those components are improved. So then from those four components, you can make sure that the other person understands, which is earlier also it was there and right now also there. And if I elaborate on that, where when we go to a career stage, we see that most state university students are very backward to talk, which is very saddening. And where we want, because we know that when once you come into the organization, we know that you have the knowledge, but for you to get shortlisted, you have to make sure that you come in front, and you come in front and talk and do that communication, so then you get selected, which is one of the most important things. And then innovation. And innovation there is in every area, not only when you say innovation, quickly your mind go into engineering, where there is new innovations to ICT, those, but no, there are innovations in management, there are innovations in all the areas. For an example, if you in management, if you can improve a process and by innovating an automated system, right, or making sure that all the process is digitalized, that is an innovation. And that is something that we look at. And then something that we look at is tech savvy, because once we are working from home, definitely you should be able to communicate, and you should be able to maneuver your uh, laptop and your internet connection, to your how you get connected to your internet. Because when once you given your office laptop, when you go into office, your internet will automatically be connected. But at home, if there's a connection failure, then how you can do few clicks and then you get back the connection back. Simple things like that. And we look at where because most of the organizations are currently running on systems, you have to make sure that you get that exposure when you are when you get into an internship. Look at, okay, what are the systems that I can learn from this organization, where then you being curious will make sure that you get that exposure, as well as you get highlighted in that organization in a good way. So then you might be able to get a permanent opportunity in that same organization. Because of that, your demand will be higher, and that is innovation is another thing. So those three are main areas that we look at, and then we have to make sure that you are at least numerically sound. You have to make sure that, okay, you're, because right now in anywhere, in any section or any department, there is numbers coming up. So you should make sure that area is developed. You shouldn't be able to, like for an example, right now your MS, how, what is your standard on your MS office packages? Can you do create a presentation? Can you write do use functions in Excel? What is your knowledge on Excel? Like that we look at. So that is something also where we evaluate you at an interview and make our talent decisions. So those are few areas that we currently look at when we do our recruitments. So those are the areas that you have to improve, as well as for you to talk about how good you well you are at an interview as well.
So adaptation is one of the key things, and the communication skills should be improved, and stuffs like that should be improved during our undergraduate. So undergraduate life. So with the same question, I will be having an extension. So when you recruit people for a company, uh, the company expects some kind of talents and some kind of skills, knowledge from the graduate student or the intern. But sometimes the graduates or the interns will possess their talents and skills above the expectation limit. But most of the times, the scenario is upside down. These people will have far more behind the line that the company is expecting to possess them to have. So there's a talent gap in the recruitments. So especially as you said, uh, I agree with that point. The state university students are backward in communication skills. Likewise, especially in the state university graduates, there's a talent gap among the graduates and interns. How do you see this talent gap, and is there any kind of a way to shorten the gap between the expected level and the actual or the reality?
Right. So yes, as I said, communication is one of the talent gaps, one of the major talent gaps that we have seen. And other areas is where influencing skills, influencing in the sense of that is where you do a presentation, and then you make sure that the others in the that boardroom or in the meeting room or in a video call are convinced that you are talking the truth, and you are make sure that your point gets across. What I see is when I talk about interns is where when they are called to an meeting, they try to back themselves and hide themselves and take notes, but they don't speak up their mind. Because yes, there can be the directors, but there can be different senior members in the organization. But if you know something, if you have an idea, because your idea will be valid and there won't be no wrong ideas, because it can be a meeting where then you are invited to gather ideas, because the final decisions will be made at a higher level. So then you, because of the ideas that you gave, your idea can be selected. But even if it's not selected, that shows that okay, you are trying to influence. That is some a gap that we look at. And then another gap that we see is that the undergraduates think that okay, we have the same culture at corporates. Once we come into an organization, it's different. Companies are hierarchical, where you have the CEO or the group CEO, and then it's from top to bottom. So the suddenly it becomes a culture shock, where you think that okay, it's the same university students in that organization, but why, what's the change? Because when you study and you are university, everyone is friends, everyone work together and try to do all your coursework. And but when it comes to corporate, it is different, where there are different, your work might be dependent on someone, and the culture is the, and most of the, when you take universities, almost all the universities, the culture is same. You have your friends, you have your different clubs, everything. There are a few changes, but yes, but as a whole, it is very similar. But from one company to another, one department to another, can be a different culture. So it might be okay, finance might be very number driven, so they might not have the friendly culture that you expect that you have in marketing. And it might be different in another department. So department wise, there are culture changes which will shock, which will, that is something that you have to, this is something that you have to see and analyze when you are doing your internship. Because that's for a short period of time, okay, you're out of the university, then out of the organization, and then you analyze, okay, how was this culture, is this the culture that I want to work in? And then once you graduate, then you have understood the corporate, what is corporate culture, and then how it is. And then another thing is that your analytical thinking. Yes, you think that okay, I analyze things, because you have to analyze each and everything in different ways. When you are at university, you study in one way, you are given the knowledge, and then you add that, and then you get your marks. But when it comes to corporate world, that goes out of the, your theory goes out of the window. And when you are put into a practical scenario, your theory might not work. Yes, we have to have that theory, you have to get that theory. I'm not saying that your degree is not valid, you have to have that theory to get your basic understanding. But you have to analyze the situation and analyze the problem before you act on it with theory. We look at an undergraduate degree saying that okay, when you are presented with a problem, you understand the problem by knowing that theory, and then using that theory, you analyze the problem and use that knowledge that you gain in a proper way, that you analyze it, and then you think in a proper way and analytical thinking way, and edit. And then another thing is where as I said, the language. I said earlier that we organization, even though in we are in one in Sri Lanka, most of the organizations you think that okay, everyone speaks in Sinhala, right? But when you get into a corporate world, and English language is something that is very important. We can't hide from it, because when you go into a different country, or when you start dealing with in a global platform, then English is the only language that is common to all the countries. It can be, there are so many languages, but the business language is English. If you know English, then, but I'm not saying that okay, you have to have English perfect. No, if you, as I said, if you can communicate and make the other person understand, then that is enough. Then after that you can improve. But when you start your career, have up to that point where you converse in English. Because in when I sit for uh, interviews, some are struggling to speak in English, and they ask to change it to their mother tongue. It can be Sinhala, it can be Tamil. But what you should do is do your interview at least in English, so that it shows us that okay, this person is trying, so we should give this person a chance. Likewise, and as I said again, that is linked to communication. You have to improve your language. There's a language barrier, so you should make sure that that area. And then one last thing I would like to add is where the common knowledge, the knowledge that you can gather from the internet, the knowledge that you can gather from your area, then current knowledge is less. If I ask you what is happening today, some might not know. So, yes, everyone knows there's a pandemic, and if I ask what are the stages in this pandemic, are there any stages in this pandemic? One, what are they? That is something that you have to be up to date. You have to make sure that you are up to date, so then you can, that is a gap, a big gap that we see, that you are not up to date on the current situations, not only when it comes to a pandemic like this, but in a normal day to day. Yeah, when we sit for an interview, when I ask a question like, okay, so tell me what is your relating to I will relate to one of the scenarios that happened few days ago, a larger scenario that happened few days ago. For an example, uh, let's take the pandemic. So as I said earlier, okay, what are the four stages in the current pandemic, and uh, what is the stage that Sri Lanka in currently, right? And you can answer it according to your knowledge, and it might not be the same as what the government think or the everyone thinks, but you answering that question shows that okay, you are up to date. So because of that, try to be updated. Just watch your news, just be up to date on current situations, not only in Sri Lanka but at a worldwide. What is the situation of the current presidency in America, and what is happening there? Like that, those are companies, those are countries who have a global influence, so have that knowledge, so then you are up to date. So that is one thing that is one of the things that we see. There is a gap between the university students as well as the corporate.
So I believe that we have talked around 1.5 hours, and I didn't I didn't feel that we have discussed such time. And personally, from the discussion, I had a lot of insights. Okay, then we'll let's move on to the Q&A session. So we have received several Q&As from the participants.
But if I take the first question that they have posted saying relating I think Miran has stated the current education system of the country and the education, how uh, they are a bit back from there's an age gap when we come to private in the other countries as well as in Sri Lanka. And how we can so the question was, what will be the future of those type of undergraduates who face same problems to complete a degree, how to avoid these during these pandemic situations. So but the best answer that I can give is where yes, there is a change that need to happen in the society of the country's education system, but that is a larger problem that have to be addressed from the government side. But as individuals, what we can do is we gather the knowledge as far as we can from different areas. Do your external diplomas, do your whatever the knowledge or areas that you can uh, gather. Because I recently did an interview for an opportunity that is open right now, where a Peradeniya University agriculture student is applying for an HR opportunity. I was shocked and I was surprised. And once I went through the CV, I saw that uh, the person has done an external CIPM degree in HR, and they have they because that is the qualification that is important for HR. That is the one of the qualifications that we look for HR. So because of that, okay, I said okay, we'll shortlist this person and see. We'll give this person we'll have a chat with that person. The chat is yet to happen, but that is how it is. So what you have to do is first think. Don't say that okay, our education system is wrong, the country's education system is wrong, and what we can so we don't have an option. First think what you want in your life. Where is your career you have to go? Where do you want to be in 5 years time? And then see, okay, right, this is how I want to be, and make a plan backwards. So 5 years I want to be this person, I want to be in this position. Then from that, make a plan to achieve that. What are the areas that I have to improve? What are the areas that I have already? And then you develop towards that goal. Make it a goal and then work towards that. So then, uh, by the time that you graduate, you will have that knowledge. So then you can go into the area, go into the career that you want to. And this is the best time where you have a lot of uh, free time, because you are at home and you are with your family, and you have more time to gather knowledge. But I'm not saying that because of gathering knowledge, don't eliminate the time that you spend with your family, with your friends, with your loved ones. Have that, as well as try to add a little bit of more knowledge, and then reach that goal. So then you will be able to achieve that area in with except the current education system in the country.